Hello, everyone, and welcome to the EA Sports NHL mock expansion draft. Yes, we've come to that time of the year where the Seattle Kraken will be picking their teams. The list of protected players and unprotected players has now been submitted to the league, and now only the Kraken can look at all of those lists and wheel and deal until the expansion draft has finally arrived. Thank you so much for joining us here on EA Sports NHL Twitch. We appreciate you being here. Carrlyn, Bathe, Arda Ocal with you. And guess what, Carrlyn? We get to pick our own mock drafts. Are you excited?
I'm terrified, Arda. I never wanted to be a GM growing up. This is my worst nightmare. I do not envy these people that hold these positions, and something like this is such a daunting task, but we've seen the success of what the Vegas Golden Knights were able to do in year one. I have no doubt we're going to see something similar with the Kraken here, so I'm excited to pick my team. I don't know if you are, though. Are you ready to go up against me is the real question. Are you ready?
I mean, I think that I am up against it. I'll be honest. On paper, I think that I am second of two if we're going by calculations, etc. But I will say this. I agree with you. I do not want to be a general manager. Now I know why general managers make millions of dollars and have months to prepare for things like this.
And a whole team of people.
Yeah, right? Like an entire team of people. I was just like on Cap Friendly and trying to move everything together and asking a few friends advice. But like, man, the role of a GM, shout out to the general managers, because this is not easy. On top of that, getting the scrutiny of everyone saying, why did you pick this person? How could you pick that person? I don't think I could deal with that.
No, it's every team, too, in the NHL that's going to be doing that, too. It's not just one fan looking up to their one GM of their favorite team. No, every fan in the league right now is going to be going crazy while the Seattle Kraken are making these decisions.
Well, there's one team that's chilling, and that's the Vegas Golden Knights, because they don't have to protect anyone. They don't get part of the expansion fee, of course, for the Seattle Kraken, but they also don't have to give up any players. So they're the ones that are sitting on the beach right now with the sunglasses on, drinking a pina colada or something, and just watching all the chaos unfold. And speaking of chaos, we should tell you that we are, this could all change, obviously. I've already made a dozen different mock drafts. So the one you're going to see from me, at least, is one that was like, all right, here's the one at the deadline that I had to submit it to our wonderful production team and EA Sports as well. But this could change on a dime. Like, we don't know. Maybe more information is going to come out before the expansion draft, and there's going to be a lot of speculations about a lot of certain players. So, Carrlyn, how many different iterations did you go through before we get to this point?
Well, I made a big mistake, and I'll announce that off the top because he did not make my roster. And as I was reading my roster out loud, I get to Shea Weber, and there's news going around about the future of Shea Weber's career, and I had saved so much cap space for him. I thought he would be great. I thought he would make a good defenseman on this team, and I was wrong. So already off the bat, I had to make some moves and move some things around, and when you eliminate one player with that big of a salary, there's room for 3 more players, honestly. So then I had to move a couple other things around. It was not fun, Arda, and that's just, one move on my mock draft of a reason why I do not want to be a GM. I just don't. That's all that this solidified for me. No GM things for me, please.
We can't wait for you to see our drafted teams. And by the way, those teams will be run through an NHL 21 simulator, so you can look forward to that as well. Which of my team or Carrlyn's team makes it farther in their inaugural season? But the very first thing we should tell you are the draft rules. How exactly did we select these teams? How exactly will the Seattle Kraken select their teams? You draft one player from each of the 30 teams. Vegas, as I mentioned, are exempt as an expansion team. A minimum of 14 forwards, 9 defensemen, and 3 goaltenders. It must meet the NHL salary cap. So a minimum player salary of $48.9 million overall and maximum player salary of $81.5 million overall. Then we will simulate it on EA Sports NHL 21. Of course, there are more rules than that. Unrestricted free agents, no move clauses, a minimum number of played games, whether they're in their first, second, or third plus year in the NHL. Those are all factors as well. But what we will have for you is our list of selected players. So what we're going to do first is we're going to show you our top 6, not necessarily in selection, but the 6 players we wanted to highlight from our teams. So I'm very excited for this because I have some really interesting reasons why I selected certain people, and I'm sure you do too, Carrlyn. So should we get started?
We should. Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to do it. My first pick of the draft, Arda, he's a captain of the Colorado Avalanche. It's Gabriel Landeskog. And wow, I cannot believe this guy was left unprotected. I mean, he knows how to score. He knows how to lead a team. And, you know, there was a quote going around in the media that he said, I can't help but be honest with you. I'm a little bit disappointed that it's gotten this far and it's come to this point. And we'll see what happens. I'm still hopeful we can agree on something and come to terms. That didn't happen. And now he's left unprotected. And it's just something that, you know, I was surprised by. Now, this doesn't mean that Seattle will pick him, right? Because if they don't, then maybe he can make a deal with Colorado. But that's a big sting for Gabriel Landeskog, and I don't know if I'm going to be making a deal with Colorado after that. So that's my number one, Arda. Who do you got?
So that's such an interesting point to all of this. As we made our teams, we don't know very much information on what side deals, private conversations were had between the Kraken and many teams. Maybe some of these players were left unprotected because there was a deal in place. Maybe something has occurred and we don't know about it. So we're just going off the information that we have available to us, which is very important because every single day as we get closer to the draft, there's going to be a lot more information that we currently are not privy to. So please keep that in mind as we're putting together our teams. My first pick is going to be probably the player that is the most debated in this entire draft. And I'm talking about Carrey Price.
What?
I decided to put Carrey Price in my team, and here's why. So a lot of people are going to say, what are you talking about? Look at the amount of millions of dollars in cap hit that Carrey Price brings. Oh, he's a .90 something save percentage in the last 4 seasons. He's regressed as a goaltender. He's not even elite anymore. To me, what he showed in the postseason this year, I put him as a Conn Smythe favorite going into the Stanley Cup final. If that series went 7 games, we would have seen a Ron Hextall, J.S. Giguère situation where Carey Price would have won the Conn Smythe without winning the Stanley Cup if that was the situation. Carrey Price is a Pacific Northwest guy. He grew up in British Columbia. His wife and family, also Pacific Northwest people. I think the Kraken would have a very hard time convincing their ownership that this star player, face of your franchise, who has roots in that area, and you don't pick him. I think that would be a very difficult conversation to have. And not only that, a change of scenery and a little bit more happy family situation might do Carey Price well. I still think there's gas in the tank there. I know that he's turning 34. A lot of people are pointing to those negatives. But for me, Marc-Andre Fleury was somewhere in his early 30s when he was selected by the Vegas Golden Knights, and that gave him a new lease on life. So for me, I think Carey Price is a wonderful pick. And not only that, think of the jersey sales. How much merch is this guy going to push? A lot.
A lot, yeah. You're going to be wearing a starter jacket in no time that's going to have his name just embroidered on the back. I know you, Arda. That's all you're thinking about is the merch. What kind of Kraken merch are you going to get? Oh,
yeah,
my gosh.
Exactly. I don't know. I like this pick. I feel like there might be something behind the scenes that will prevent this from happening, though. So I'm only going off the idea that he's unprotected and available and there's no other conversations had. If that's the case, I'm snagging Carey Price from the Montreal Canadiens. That's just me.
Woo, so okay.
There we go. We're already adding some fuel to the fire right now.
Yes. Those are our big wow players. All right, everybody. Number 2 for me, we've got Jake Voracek from the Philadelphia Flyers. Okay, I think he's going to need a change of scenery like you were talking about, Arda. It's been a rumor now that maybe he should move on from the Philadelphia Flyers. It's not a surprise to Philly fans. It's not a surprise to Jake Voracek. And my reasoning, Arda, I think the new coach of the Seattle Kraken, which is former coach of the Philadelphia Flyers, might have a soft spot for Voracek and want a guy like him and his reliability on their team. I think Dave Haxtell is just going to love picking Voracek and putting him on his team. There we go. That's my pick for number 2.
If you have a name either Hextall or similar to Hextall, at some point you have to work for the Flyers organization. I think it's a rule in life.
Yeah,
like in the hockey bubble. It just has to happen.
And you can't think about the Flyers and not Hextall at the same time, clearly, because it just infiltrates the brain. But that's my number 2 pick,
right.
Arda.
I love that pick, and honestly, I did not pick Voracek from the Flyers, but I debated that for a very long time. And actually, like in the way that you just presented it, I might have made a mistake, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But we're going to hold off on that. So my number 2 is your number 1. I have Gabriel Landeskog as my number 2. I agree with you 100%. Also, like, I just love the fact that there's a captain of this caliber. Like, just remember, like, okay, the Avs didn't have the postseason they wanted. But just remember, going into the postseason, they were one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup.
Yep.
Like, this is how good this team was. And Gabriel Landeskog was the captain of this team. I love the idea. If you look at my 2 picks right there, I love the idea that you have the opportunity to have a franchise goaltender and a proven leader on your team day one. I love that. I think Landeskog, for many of the teams, like there are a lot of options on different teams that you could really debate. I think Landeskog, unless, again, there are some conversations behind the scenes we're not privy to, I think Landeskog is one of those slam dunk picks. I look at that and I'm like, I will happily have Landeskog on my team.
Absolutely. And if you can capitalize, too, off the fact that maybe Colorado left that sour taste in his mouth, you can make an enticing kind of deal there where it's like, hey, come over here. We won't do that to you. We're picking you.
Exactly.
We're picking you. Oh, my gosh. Okay. So my number 3 pick, and I had this pick in mind to go on my top line. So with that in mind, I picked Max Domi from the Columbus Blue Jackets. He's a center. He's 26 years old. There's a lot of life left in him. He's a star. And that's just a no-brainer pick for me, Arda. I know that some people, when they're making these drafts, they look at the young kids, right? Well, the young kids are going to have those in-the-middle veterans to look up to. The guys who've been there, but the guys who aren't grizzled and weathered and are, nearing the edge of retirement. No, Max Domi is right in the middle, and he can be a leader for some, not in the way maybe Gabriel Landeskog is, right? But in a way for the younger kids who you are going to have to put on your roster at some point during this to get under cap, right? Max Domi fits that for me. He can lead, he can center that top line, and he can provide some offense for this new Kraken team.
Love that Max Domi pick. May or may not see it again.
Oh, gosh.
On this stream. I think it's wonderful. And by the way, by drafting Max Domi, you also get the benefit of Ty Domi's social media, of which he uses Instagram a whole lot. So definitely follow Ty for his stories alone because they're absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay, my number 3 pick, St. Louis Blues, Vlad Tarasenko. Now you might be thinking, wait a second here. Woo! This guy's not even 100%. What about those 3 surgeries on the shoulder? He's not the player he once was. From 2014 to 2018, he had 5 straight 30-plus goal seasons. And he's had some incredible years with the St. Louis Blues. But since then, he hasn't played that much, and he hasn't had that much output. To me, this is not a Shea Weber situation. I don't think that I feel like Tarasenko is on the road to recovery, and at some point this season, he will be back to 100%. Now, Shea Weber, we're hearing a lot of things that maybe that will not be the case for Shea Weber, or maybe that's out there, as a red herring. We don't know this right now as we're recording this, but what we do know is that Tarasenko is still on the road to recovery. He's 29 years old. Yes, it's a big salary, but if he can get glimmers of what he used to be, it will be an immediate impact for the Seattle Kraken, and they get a flashy, entertaining goal scorer, somebody that is fun to watch on the ice and can develop into a star. And you look at my 3 players here. Maybe I'm thinking of it from a promotion because sports are entertainment. So I'm thinking of it from that lens, Carrlyn. But I have a franchise name in net. I have my proven leader with Gabriel Landeskog. And I have my incredibly talented, flashy goal scorer in Vlad Tarasenko right now. So I'm feeling good about this 3, especially if Tarasenko can be healthy.
Here's where I just, I go to the wild, wild west on this one, and people are going to think I'm absolutely cuckoo, but to piggyback off of picking a player who maybe isn't 100% healthy right now, I went with Ben Bishop, and he's my 4th pick here. Ooh. He's the Stars goalie. He's 34, and you'll see on my full roster breakdown, I've got some baby goaltenders, okay? And we need a leader in that group, but if I pack my team out with some studded offense here, how much work is this goaltender going to have to do? Can we get those young guys some work? Can Ben Bishop be around the rink, getting to 100%, leading these guys and showing them what a pro looks like day to day? I don't know. That's where my brain goes. So I'm thinking, goaltending is just such a hot commodity. You need it, right? But you can also build it. I believe in finding, these jewels, these diamonds in the rough, and making them into star-studded goaltenders. I've seen it happen with the Los Angeles Kings franchise, and I know that if you just have one of those veteran guys that's around, you can develop those young goaltenders. So that's my thought with Ben Bishop here. I think maybe the offense can take off some of the heat that maybe one of the young goaltenders is going to have to handle while this guy gets 100%. I don't think his career's finished. That's what I'm gambling on. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's done. Maybe he's going to let us know. Who knows? But that's my pick. And they had to protect Qdoman, so that was kind of the reason for it, too. He waives his no movement clause, and that's an honorable thing to do. I want an honorable guy on my team, Arda. Can you fault me for that?
Absolutely not. Absolutely will not fault you for that. And honestly, I'm shocked at the quality of goaltenders that we have available to us that are unprotected on many of these teams. It's just crazy. It's almost like an embarrassment of riches for the Kraken to be able to pick. So my fourth pick, we talked about earlier, you picked Voracek for the Flyers. I debated this back and forth for a very long time. But at the end of the day, it came down to who do I want on my defensive core? And honestly, I can't believe that this person with the Philadelphia Flyers was left unprotected, because I feel like I can really create an amazing defensive crew around this pick. And I am super excited to show you who I selected from the Flyers, because I think that this is going to put me over the top defensively. We're going to have a stone wall. I'm expecting the least amount of goals in the league this season. Here is my pick from the Flyers. What? There it is. Good old Frank Bathe. Unprotected by the... Can you believe it, Carrlyn?
Oh,
unbelievable.
God. No! You can't take another redhead from them. Come on!
Frank was left off the sheet, and I am scooping him up. Plan the parade,
you can
Seattle.
Have him. You can have him, Seattle.
We are drinking coffee from the Stanley Cup. Let's go.
Good luck prying him off the golf course, Arda. That's going to be a real feat in itself. My gosh. Hey, with Frank, though, you're going to get a total stay-at-home defenseman that's not only going to lay down and block a shot with no helmet on, even though it's not allowed anymore, He's going to take one right to the face, to the back, to the side, whatever. And then he'll also stand up for anybody on the team. He'll clear the benches. He'll drag people off the other benches. He'll fight a ref. I don't know. He's unpredictable. That's a great wild card of a pick, Arda. And your team's going to be solid defensively. And me talking about being in the wild, wild west, you're cuckoo off the tracks. Arda.
This has nothing to do with the fact that Frank happens to be Carrlyn's dad. But in all seriousness,
right.
I did pick a Flyer for my fourth pick here. And it's actually this guy right here, Shane Gostisbehere. So Gostisbehere, a lot of what I said applies, actually. He's a solid defenseman. He's had some up and down years. He's also had some up and down years with Dave Haxtell, but I don't know exactly what their relationship is. I wonder if it has gotten better over the years, because remember, Shane Gostisbehere had his best years in the NHL with Dave Haxtell as coach. So I'm curious what the status of their relationship is right now. And if it is good, I wonder if Dave Haxtell is looking at a guy like Gostisbehere and said, hey, he's unprotected. You may want to take a look at him. He might be worth bringing over. Now, again, he's had some up and down years, but I will say in watching Flyers games this year, I noticed an improvement in his play as compared to previous years. So I wonder if that trajectory continues for Ghost. And Seattle might be wise to bring him, because when he is good, when he is at his best, he is a solid defenseman that can also produce on the score sheet. So that's why I picked him there.
That's an interesting pick. And, given the right circumstances, he seems like the type of player that could really thrive. So like you said, I'd be interested to see the relationship between him and Dave moving forward if he were to be selected. Arda, my next pick, it's not my dad. I already picked a Flyer. And,
he's already off the board.
I gotta tell Frank about that. He's gonna love you so much for that. And you picked the best picture ever, just him straight from the 70s. It's so good.
Let's go.
Let's go. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna pick PK Subban. And talking about rock solid defense, I think this guy, he's such a personality, right? And Seattle Kraken's gonna be all over the media once this team launches and really just gets into the thick of it here. And PK Subban, love him or hate him, he's one of those guys that has such a great presence. He's one of those people that he'll talk to the media, he'll crack jokes, he'll do the funny segments. I'll never forget, I was at an all-star game and I had to go up to the players and ask them about their favorite wrestlers, and he was the one who was the most animated with me. So maybe that stuff doesn't matter when it comes to the gameplay on the ice, but if I were a GM, right, I'd pick guys based off of who gives great interviews, because that's what my job needs to survive. So looking at PK Subban, that's just a guy with a lot of personality that I just adore. And defensively, he's a veteran in that department. He knows what to do here. And I think he needs a team that really can rally around him. His salary's a little high. You know, maybe when his contract's up, that's something that they can negotiate, or even just use him for a part and send to another team that might give them back some more picks in return. So in the long-term investment of things, I think he's a good pickup, and they can unload some salary off of New Jersey, and then maybe in the long run they'll have to unload that salary again. But short-term, PK Subban, that's my pick.
That amazing reasons for Subban. No, honestly,
I don't want to be a GM, Arda. That's why.
Team, the other than the Flyers, the Devils were the team that I thought about the most. I'll be honest with you, because I was teetering on Subban for so long for all the reasons you said. He does the charity work so well. He goes to every appearance. For crying out loud, he has an atrium named after him in Montreal. Yeah. In a hospital, in a children's hospital. He makes an impact
no matter where he goes.
He literally did analyst work on ESPN this postseason and knocked it out of the park. He is so TV friendly, and people will love him in Seattle. I agree 100%. I picked Carrey Price because he's a franchise name. PK Subban might outsell him in sweaters because he's that charismatic. He's that interesting. People love to listen to him. Like I agree with you 100%. Now I didn't pick PK, but I'll explain why later.
Okay.
I'll explain why later, but I agree. And especially for like a new team with a spotlight on it, I think he would relish in a situation like that. My fifth pick, I would not have picked this player if he was still with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I picked this player because he got traded, or the rights got traded to the New York Rangers. I think a deal will happen here for this player, and it's Barclay Goodrow. Here's why I picked Barclay Goodrow. So he's a UFA. I think something might happen there where Seattle will bring him onto the team and negotiate some sort of favorable contract. I know Barclay very, very well from my time covering the Brampton Battalion in the OHL. He was on that team. I covered him extensively. Wow. And I saw his character there. I saw him as a guy. He's beloved in the locker room. He's the kind of guy that you want on your team. He's a warrior. Kind of like what you were saying about your dad. Like he's very he will stand up for his for his teammates. Yep. He will be there. He's blocking shots. And in fact, there's a clip that I believe it's in Quest for the Cup where John Cooper's on the ice after the Stanley Cup is won, and he's talking about his team, and he's like, they're all warriors. They're all warriors. And then he sees Goodrow out of the corner of his eye, and he says, who on earth is going to stand in front of Shea Weber's shot? Barclay Goodrow is, because he's a warrior and he's a fighter. Like, that's the kind of guy that you would want on your team, especially at that price. Right now, he's at $925,000. Like, if you can get a guy like Barclay Goodrow, who had a great postseason, by the way, and just won the Stanley Cup. Let me just pick up that name we just dropped, right? Like, I think that is a great pick for a team like the Seattle Kraken to have a player that will be exciting and will raise the fans out of their feet for the type of play that he can put out on the ice there. So that's why I like that pick there. Of course, there's going to be some negotiating needed there, but I do like Barclay Goodrow as a possibility for Seattle.
Interesting. I like that too. I like your reasons for it. Arda, my number 6 pick. We're rounding it out here. These are our last picks, so we gotta make them pop. All right, I hope you got a good one. I'm gonna need you to give me fuel, give me fire, give me Nino Niederreiter. All right, from the Carolina Hurricanes. Let's go. He's a right winger. He's 28 years old. He surprised me by being on the unprotected list, and we know he's a point producer. That's a guy I want on my team. And the Canes, their list was like extra juicy to me. I don't know if you were like salivating over that list as a potential GM here, but like looking at those players and seeing, you know, what this Canes team has been able to do these last couple of seasons, all of them have potential. They've got such young guys, a lot of appealing contracts, and someone like Nino Niederreiter, I mean, there is a cap hit just over $5 million here, but it's just like, how can you pass up on that guy? That's a really solid winger to have. Gosh, I just don't know the direction that this team's trying to go, right? Do they want to be cup contenders right off the bat? Do they want to kind of emulate what the Vegas Golden Knights did? If so, that's your guy, right? Or if they're trying to go a non-traditional route and really kind of just build and you know, get some assets and build some things here, then who knows? I don't think they'll pick him, but I have no freaking clue, Arda. I'm going to think that they're going to try to do what Vegas did, and they're going to pick a guy like Nino Niederreiter to help them do it.
By the way, one thing I do want to throw in there. So for the expansion draft in Vegas and for this one, teams had the option to either protect 7 forwards, 3 defense, and 1 goaltender, or a combination of 8 players and 1 goaltender. So it could be more than 3 defense, for example. In 2017, 23 teams chose the 7-3-1 option, and 7 teams, including Nashville, chose the 8-1 option, so 8 players and 1 goaltender. In 2021, for this draft, only 3 teams chose the 8-1 option, and those teams were Nashville, Tampa Bay, and Toronto. So Nashville did it twice, and the other 27 teams picked the 7-3-1. Just a little nugget of information. Maybe you can win some bar trivia.
Love that.
The reason why I said all that is because I don't have much to say about my 6th pick because you already picked him, and that's Max Domi.
Oh.
That's why. So Max rounds out my first line. And I'm like,
We've said
you're
it
like,
all.
I hope you have a really interesting pick. I'm like, I do. You also had that pick. So there you go. so it's Max, baby. Let's go.
Let's go. Hey, great minds think alike. I love it. I love it.
Let's
we both
go.
got Gabe and we both got Max. And
Yep.
then the rest is pretty, it's different. We kind of spread it
I
out.
love it.
I think Vladimir Tarasanko was my most shocking realization on your picks. I think I wasn't even thinking in that brainwave, and you went there, and I was like, dang, Arda, let's go. Chat, I hope
Now,
you're ripping on him for his picks, because mine are clearly better, right?
So,
right?
yeah, chat, let us know which team you would pick. Please don't pick based on the fact that Carrlyn is cooler than I am. Make an honest assessment of these teams, please. Okay, just take a look and look at the prowess of Vlad Tarasenko and my heartfelt story about Barclay Goodrow and what I was saying about Shane Gostisbehere Bathe. You know, like, please just look at this team and say, you know what? Arda's got a point. So feel free to throw first names in chat who you think's at least the top 6. I think I'm losing this. Let's be honest, Carrlyn. All right, so this is our top 6. Let's now show you the rest of our team. We did make selections for all of the available NHL teams, other than Vegas, of course. So Carrlyn, start us off. Show us the remainder of your Seattle Kraken expansion team.
Okay. All right, Arda. In my thought process here, I was going for trying to stay under the salary cap, right? And I was right on the money at first when I made my Shea Weber mistake. And then when I had to move Shea Weber around, add some more assets in, things got a little hairy, but I'm about 1 mil under the salary cap here. I think I did pretty good. And in return, you know, we got Christopher Tanev, we got Yanni Gourde, we've got Mike Riley, Justin Schultz. I mean, I've got some depth here, too, within the center position. Jared McCann, Philip Deneau. Like, I tried to kind of stack this here, so when I'm rolling 4 lines, everybody's well-equipped. And I think my weakest point might be my defenseman. And I went a little young here with Cale Clegg, and I wanna speak on Cale Clegg in with positivity right now, because I'm a big Kings person, right? You know I cover that team. I got to watch Cale Clegg all season long, and he's one of those guys that got thrown into so many different situations based off of what the lineup was looking like for the Kings this past year, and he handled them all so well. He's not a guy that's going to make the same mistake twice, but he will make mistakes, and that's just a part of growing up and growing into your role. So I kind of took a leap there on the defenseman, and then my goaltenders, Capo Kakinen and Cole Keller. I went for it, Arda. I got baby goaltenders. I told you. I wanted Ben Bishop to be the dad to these two and to lead them to the most potential that they can have. And I feel like I really did that here. I feel like I did that. I don't know. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I did. Chris Driedger as well is in there. And he's a little bit like in the middle of the road. So he can be my number one if Ben Bishop can't be.
Yeah, I love Chris Driedger. I picked him as well. But I love the Clegg pick there for the Kings. I was going to ask you about that and see if that was like a diamond in the rough situation, like you were saying you love to pick.
He absolutely is. And
yeah.
That's something that I hope these GMs are taking into consideration. I was actually surprised, Arda, about how well the Kings kind of formatted who was available and what Seattle is going to have to choose from, because that's the other side of being a GM, right? You're not just, getting to pick everybody and put your dream team together. You got to be a smart GM. You got to tie up your contracts before this time hits. You got to protect the right ones, and you got to, make sure the ones you're making available are really long thought out decisions. And having seen this team come to fruition for so long, I thought the protected and unprotected lists were the most, rewarding in a way, if that makes sense. Like, I was like happy for some of the players who were left unprotected, who could go on to shine and know how great of players they are, but happy with the ones that they locked down. So don't want to go too Kings on you because I'm a little biased, right? But like, that's just the other side of being a GM. You gotta make sure that you were in the best spot and not be in some of these positions like having to give up Gabriel Landeskog and Jake Voracek and Nino Ryder. Oh my God, I can't believe I got those guys.
Yeah, this is a solid lineup here. So that's Carrlyn's again. Take a look at the top there as well. So 17 forwards, 9 defense, 4 goalies, an average rating of 81, an average age of 27, and just over 80.5 million of the 81.5 maximum salary cap. So that's Carrlyn's team. Here's mine. We'll just transition into it right now, and you'll see some similar picks here. We differed in teams like the Tampa Bay Lightning. So I went Andre Palat, similar in terms of like salary and also production. I liked Palat in that position just because I wanted to pick a couple of more left wingers there, give a little bit more variety for me there. Will Butcher was the one that, much like you covering the LA Kings, I saw Will Butcher extensively when I was covering the New Jersey Devils for several seasons previously.
Yes.
So that's the reason why I picked Will over PK Subban and saved myself a few million in cap space to go after other players that could bolster my lineup. If not for that, if I had the room, PK Subban would have been a lock for me as well. But Will Butcher's 26 years of age, a $3.74 million salary. I think that he is blossoming into a great defenseman. Had a lot of buzz around him when he came into the league, but I feel like he's starting to grow there into that position and mature. So that's why I like Will Butcher in that pick. Alexander Kerfoot, I felt, got a little buried with the offensive prowess of the Toronto Maple Leafs with all of the firepower that they have. He wasn't necessarily somebody, unless you were a Leafs fan watching every game, who had an eye on him.
That jumps out at me now. Yeah. I'm like, how did I miss that? Oh, good one, Arda.
Right? Like Jared McCann is a good one too, right? Jared McCann is a great, like a trade there, especially, but like you knew that they were going to protect their top players. So it's going to be the best of the rest kind of situation. Similar to Jimmy Vesey. So when I was doing the MSG Networks programs, we saw Jimmy Vesey on the Rangers a lot. He is one of those guys that is very responsible on the ice. And now he's in Vancouver. I feel like he might have a good shot if he gets selected for Seattle to showcase his talents. He's a very well-spoken guy. He went to Harvard. He is also really responsible on the ice. That's what I found whenever I saw him play. So that's why I picked him there. But we do have some similar picks. Like I mentioned, Driedger is a great goaltender. I think that I'll tell you what, every time I did highlights on ESPN, like his name would come up extensively.
Right.
Bobrovsky, obviously the number one goaltender there, but he is somebody that played very, very well when he was called upon on that team. So now you've seen both of our teams. Here they are head to head. You know what, Carrlyn? I have to say, for us not being trained general managers, not making millions of dollars, and only having literal hours to prepare for this, I think we did pretty good.
Yeah, and I think if the GMs had the, NHL 21 game ratings as well for each player, maybe they could make as such sound decisions as we did too, because I was also going off some of those ratings there. Because player ratings go a long way, don't they, Arda?
They absolutely do. And I should mention that both of our teams have an average rating in EA Sports NHL 21 of 81. So both of our teams are exact same in terms of overall average rating.
Wow.
And also we have the same average age on our team of 27. Shocking.
What?
It's pretty crazy. Yeah, we have the same
scary.
average age and the same average rating.
That's spooky. I don't like that. That's scary.
Just like that somehow. And I picked 10 defense and 3 goalies. You picked 4 goalies and 9 defense. So anyhow, those are our teams right there. Now we've had the privilege, thanks to our friends at EA Sports, the NHL team. They do great work. They put out the game every year. Carrlyn, by the way, is literally in the game, people.
Yes!
Okay, you have seen her. That's why you recognize her, obviously, because she's literally in the game, which is the most amazing thing ever. We now have been able to load these teams into NHL 21, and we have simulated a season to see which of our teams did better against the current NHL. But the first thing we're going to do is show you our lineups.
All right, we're looking at my starting lineup here first, and gosh, Arda, this is hard to do, right? And I felt like I did a pretty good job with my forwards here. Like I said, I think I'm a little bit lacking on defense, but we'll see what happens. Ben Bishop maybe wouldn't be starting, maybe Drieger, but we'll see what happens.
Here's my starting lineup. We have a very similar top line. Domi, Landeskog. I put Tarasenko there, of course, assuming that he's healthy. I do like my forward core. I think maybe I could add a little bit of depth at center, especially getting into that fourth line territory. But I do like what I'm working with here. And I do feel very good about my goaltenders, particularly, like you said, Drieger as a backup is excellent, was fantastic with the Florida Panthers, and Price as a marquee name. I think he's on the up, especially based on what we saw in the postseason. That can certainly be replicated. Maybe he needs a little bit of a change of scenery, but I'm just going to assume my Kraken win the Stanley Cup year one.
What?
Congratulations, Seattle.
No.
City of Seattle. You can thank me later. Invite me to the parade. It's all good. All right, let's take a look at these results. Let's take a look at Carrlyn's team. How did Carrlyn's team do? How did Carrlyn's Kraken perform in the NHL 21 season simulator?
It was bad. Oh, God. 26th overall here. This is, not good.
Oh,
78
no.
points. I've seen worse, right? I've personally seen worse, but that's just not going to cut it. We're not going to get an X with this type of gameplay. And you know what? I think I built a team maybe that will excel in the future. And I've got some big assets that I could maybe dole away when the time comes. So I'm feeling hopeful.
So this is my Kraken team. So Tarasenko, 88 points. Let's go. 44, 32, and 6. Are you kidding me? Playoff bound?
What?
Come on.
What?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
The most controversial pick coming up with 88 points. See, that is the ceiling. Like, that's what he can be capable of.
I knew it all along. I knew that he would excel in a city like Seattle, and this is just proof. This is all the proof I need to see. I'm sure Ron Francis is watching this right now, and he's like, even if he wasn't going to pick Tarasenko, he is now, because Arda Ocal picked Tarasenko in the NHL 21 simulator and saw this.
The proof is in the sim, Arda. I mean, the numbers don't lie right there. That's your pick. My God.
Do you notice that there is an X next to my Seattle Kraken right there? Just wanted everyone to see it. Respectable 94 points.
Uh-huh.
Most importantly, there's an X, people. An X. That means we're going to the playoffs. Let's go.
Where's my X? Do I get that next season? Does that come with the draft? Oh, gosh. I feel so left out. Arda, congrats. That's pretty sweet. To see that all happen and then you get 12th overall in the league, like, that's pretty sweet. Did you expect that?
Not bad at all. I did not expect that. I thought we would be first, but I guess we'll take 12th.
Yeah. Better than me.
12th in the league, by the way. 12th in the league.
Yep.
And we don't have to show any postseason footage on how my Kraken did in the NHL 21 simulator. We're just going to assume that my Kraken won the Stanley Cup.
Absolutely. Like, that's all you can do. Just assume, and that won't hurt you. You know, what we don't know won't hurt us.
Nevertheless, you're all about future potential, so your Kraken are going to win the Stanley Cup in 5 years. So there you go.
I like that. That's good positive thinking, Arda.
So there you have it. You've now seen my team, Carrlyn's team. Hopefully you're having fun building your team. And by the way, you will be able to play as the Seattle Kraken in NHL 22, which will be out this fall. If you can't wait, if you are impatient like me, you can build your Seattle Kraken team or any other team right now in franchise mode in NHL 21. Don't forget that the actual Seattle Kraken expansion draft will be on Wednesday, July 21st. It's going to be on Sportsnet and on ESPN, and it's going to be a blast to watch and see. I wonder which actual team, like which team of ours will be closest to the actual Kraken team.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
I'm curious. I think we should both print out like a document, right, of everybody that we picked, Arda, and then patiently await for when they announce their team, and then cross-reference and see how close we were. Or chat can tell us and let us know and troll us all over Twitter about how wrong we were. Either way works, you know. I'm here for it.
Exactly. Chat trolling us? No, that would never happen.
Never.
By
Kenneth,
the way,
get out of here.
Yeah, get out, Kenneth. Okay, that's enough, Kenneth. Kenneth and Guido, one of our two of our great producers on this shoot. I will say this: we got some breaking news for you. Special Hockey Ultimate Team Kraken items will be coming to the game after the expansion draft.
Heck
so there
yeah.
you go.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All you Chell players, that is so freaking cool to look forward to. I know you guys are excited. I know how stoked you get about that sort of thing. That's awesome.
So that's it for us. Thanks for watching here on EA Sports NHL Twitch. Any final thoughts? The process was fun. I agree with you. I would never cut it as a GM, but this was a positive experience overall, I would say.
This was absolutely positive. It's fun just daydreaming up, you know, your perfect team. I'm just so glad that neither of us are GMs. And, you know, stepping into the GM shoes was fun for a hot minute. Stepping out of the GM shoes is also exciting. A lot of stress is gone. A lot of anxiety is gone. And, you know, I was really excited when Vegas became a team in the NHL. And I'm equally just as excited for Seattle. I'm excited to have a new city to travel to watch some hockey. And I'm excited to see history being made, you know, starting with day one at the draft. So it's just going to be awesome, awesome, awesome. And gosh, this was such a great experience.
Thanks for everyone commenting in chat. Thank you everyone for watching, and enjoy the actual Seattle Kraken expansion draft on July 21st. She's Carrlyn. I'm Arda. We appreciate you being here. We'll catch you next time.